I had clicked on the wrong group. So sending it to the wrong group. And it looks like we're live in the correct group. Man, I don't know. How in the heck did I do that? That's what happens when you name every group a little bit different than where you're at. I'm looking. It says we're streaming and it shows live. Let me make sure. This is so not my computer. Okay, can we make it mute? This is what happens when it's not your computer. Let me go over here. Let me go over here. So I'm always going a little bit early now. So instead of going live like right at 4, I'm going to go live at like 3:58, 3 something in there, just to make sure we don't have any issues. Can we get that to go down? There we go. I was able to get it to go down. Okay. Oh, we are good. And I hear people. It's my husband. We are having a horrible infestation of box elder beetles and stink bugs. So he is out there spraying like a madman, hoping we can get rid of them. Let me make sure this pins. Pin. There we go. So today we are making a totally different new nativity design. I have been looking high and low for all kinds of nativity ribbon, different types of nativity signs, because, you know, for Christmas you get the same theme. Jesus is the reason for the season. Not to say that that's bad, but when you're looking to update and do something entirely new, it's hard to find something that somebody is doing differently, and I hope to be bringing you a couple of those designs. Got one for you tonight, though. So it's not Jesus is the reason for the season, or Silent Night, or Holy Night. Let me show you what it is. So this is the sign design for tonight. I apologize. Let me turn the light down so you can see. There we go. Still got a little bit of a light. Trying not to touch it because it gets hot. So this is the design. There we go. And it says, "He will bring us goodness and light." And I absolutely love the color palette in this design. I am a big, huge proponent of shades of blue, teals, golds, ivories, creams, all of the things. So that is our design inspiration. This is from Lindy, Lindys. Lindy's sign designs on Etsy. So if you like the sign, this is a 10-inch. We'll be using this tonight. And then I wasn't sure. At first I was going to pair it with a teal color Deco mesh, which looked great. But then I was like, I'm not really feeling the whole Christmas vibe. So I chose to use a cream and gold wide foil Deco mesh. So these two are going to be the design inspiration. We are doing 20-inch, 10-inch Deco mesh cut to 20-inch pieces. We're doing the ruffle because with our sign / bow, it should be relatively full. And I'm choosing to almost ignore the blue in the design. Why? When you are designing anything, it is important for you to have a focal point. Where do you want a client's eyes to focus first? It should be like a target. For me, my sign is a target. It's what I want the customer to focus on. And then their eyes can kind of wander around the rest of the design and see all the little, you know, hidden doodads or whatever, and then look at the details that go around. But the main focal point is I want the message, I want the customer's eyes drawn to the center of the design. If you don't, when someone's looking at your wreath, they'll say, I don't quite know why, but I'm not loving the design. I like the bow, I like the sign, I like this. It just doesn't feel like it flows together. And it's because the customer's eyes going everywhere. It's like throwing a whole bunch of different colors at you, or a whole bunch of different special effects and your body or your eyes don't know where to focus. And so that's why it is vitally imperative when you are putting together a design to come up with a focal point. It could be a bow. That's where you want your eyes trained, and then they can go from there. But where initially do you want it to start? Even on floral designs, centerpieces, all the things, you got to pick a central focus, and then it can spread out from there. So with that being said, I am going to cover a couple of housekeeping items. If you want to save a copy of this tutorial and you are on Facebook, just click the share button. It'll do a quick copy paste from my page to your page. Remember, you have to download that within the next 30 days, otherwise it's gone forever. You will have to come to my YouTube channel at KatsCreationsNMore and find that tutorial, and then you can download it from there. If you were on YouTube, all you have to do simply is just click the share button. Also, a couple ways you can help me: share, like, comment, emojis, whatever. The more you do, the greater it helps me. Even if you don't do anything else, even if you never make a purchase from me, if you guys can help me do that on YouTube, Facebook, if you find my posts on Pinterest, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. YouTube, Pinterest, Instagram. Am I missing one? YouTube, Facebook, Pinterest, Instagram. I have 4. That's how you can help me. So if you're new, I'd love to welcome you for the very first time. Please tell me where you are from. I am up in the state of Washington in the gorgeous Pacific Northwest. We are crossing our fingers that we are slated to get rain this Thursday. And that will be the launch of our rainy season, which I love and look forward to. So saying a couple of highs tonight to Valerie. She says, hope you're feeling better. Yes, I am. I have not had a migraine. Can't knock on wood. Yesterday was my first one. I haven't had them for a while. And I noticed too that I was slacking off on some of my supplements. And I think that that is the reason why. So we're going to go back on those. Veronica says, love your porch and farm. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate that. Thanks for joining me. Veronica, we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to pivot you down. And we're going to go ahead and get going. Okay. It just moved ever so slightly because there was tension on my cord and it snapped it back. 14-inch Dollar Tree wreath frame. I've done the first 5 sections for you. We're going to do the last section together. Going to take my pipe cleaner. Going to wire the 2 inside rings together. It gives it stability. This way it doesn't slide around on you. You don't have to use glue or anything else. Hi, Rosemary. Welcome. Mary Carol, always a pleasure to see and hear from you. Welcome. And then we're going to go ahead and do the outside too, using that middle in the weld to find a middle point if you can. If not, they don't have to be perfect, but that is how I wire together my frames. This gives you 6 on the inside, 12 to the outside, grand total of 18. And like I said, we are using the wide foil. It is a ivory and gold cream. I love the wide foil because it shows off the metallic qualities so much better. I'm going to be doing the method that you guys know I love and is near and dear to my heart, called the next one, which means pick a pipe cleaner anywhere on your design. That's where you're going to start, and then we're going to keep adding Deco mesh every single time we hit the very next pipe cleaner. We are going to imagine a line straight up the center. I like to weight my Deco mesh to keep it from rolling up, and I am going against the curl. So I'm going to pull this towards me in about 1/2 inch increments. Kind of forms a nice little pleat. People refer to this as the bow tie method because it looks like a little bow tie. We are going to be using the finished edges. Those are going towards the center. I'm going to start right here in the middle. and I'm going to give it about 5 twists on the old chenille stem, and then I'm going to remove the end. I'm going to go ahead and tuck that end back in, and then we're going to prepare our next pipe cleaner. I love this Deco mesh, Mary Carol. When did I get this? I think I got this year. So I like the fact that it is not just white mesh with the gold in it, but is actually an ivory color. So it's a soft color. And then on the outside, I'm just going to give it 2 twists. And because I'm finishing up in this section, I'm going to move my pipe cleaner off to the side. But as you can see, in between here, there is no Deco mesh piece. So in order to help us get good coverage, we're going to take our Deco mesh pieces, going to kind of fold them over gently and kind of surround this section so that when I bring this next piece in, it'll lay perfectly right on top. So, here I go. Next piece. This is also known as the ruffle method because it creates those nice little waves along our Deco mesh, these little ripples. And so I'm going to lay this back over the top. My goal is to make sure that the ones that are on the outside edge are readily available, so when we come in to lay in our ribbon, we're going to have those nice and accessible. Here we're going back up to the center, so you're going to just push everything out of the way. Same process. In doing it this way, the cut edges are where it is likely to fray. So if we focus on kind of tilting those points, like folding them over and making sure we have finished edges to the middle and the bottom, that is likely where a customer is going to do some fluffing, maybe make some ribbon adjustments, so it will keep our frays to a minimum. I love to use the wood burning tool when cutting my mesh. I find that with doing it that way, I don't have half as many frays. I would say that my fray reduction is probably at like 90%, if there's any at all that I can tell. So it really, really does help to combat the frays. We're back to the last piece in our section. Gonna place that right over the top of the center. 2 twists. We will go ahead and make sure that these are nice and fluffy, making sure we get good coverage. Moving my pipe cleaner over so that I can prep that left section to the outside so that we can have a better coverage in between. Do you guys have any questions at all that I can answer for you? Keep in mind that if you're catching this on a replay, I do read your comments. So if you have a question, a suggestion, a design perhaps you'd like to see me make a tutorial on, please make sure you leave those in the comment box. I do read those and respond to them. Okay, here's our outside one. Going to make sure we've got good coverage, making sure everything's nice and pretty, and then we're ready to go back to the center. I like to take my tightest pieces of Deco mesh and use those for the center because the other 2 pieces lay directly on top of that. And then the fact that we are gathering this against the curl allows the curl to stay face down, so it doesn't want to pop up. We want it to lay flat. There's that one. Tucking that back to the inside. I've got to make a slight adjustment to get that to go underneath the piece that I put in prior, just so that it lays nice and pretty. Get this ready for our next piece of mesh. Back to the outside. So I am curious, based on the sign that I showed you at the beginning, what color combinations would you do for this particular design? I'll show you the sign again. Okay, we'll fan that out, making sure we're all pretty. Prepping the next section, just a little bit below, a little bit above, and push that pipe cleaner out of the way. Hi Marisol, no worries, actually just started. So we're about halfway through adding our 20-inch pieces of 10-inch Deco mesh cut with a wood burning tool to every single piece of our pipe cleaners on a 14-inch Dollar Tree wreath frame. And again, just double checking, making sure good coverage. Move your pipe cleaner, and then remember we've got to squeeze this one in. And I'm going to grab one of my tight pieces. I forgot I have one piece of Deco mesh sitting right here by my computer. I'm going to grab that so I don't think that I came up one short. It's always good to double check that you've cut enough pieces. Isn't that pretty, Pam? This is absolutely gorgeous. And I kind of felt like this one needed this color mesh. It is very regal, very elegant looking. So remember, we're going to tuck this back under. We're going to pull our left side piece right over the top. And then get this piece ready. Woo. And now one just rolled off to the floor. I used to have this little tray that I used to keep all my Deco mesh in, or sometimes I had a basket for when I would do lives in my kitchen. And so I would just put all my Deco mesh pieces in there. Occasionally I'd have one that would roll out and I didn't spot. And I was like, hey, I'm like one short. And then you look down on the ground and there's your piece of Deco mesh. Again, prepping that left side pipe cleaner. I really need to grab that one that's on the floor because I know I will forget that. Hi Deborah, welcome. Happy Tuesday. New design in store. Placing this right to the inside. Oop. Trying to grab my pipe cleaner. Kind of dropped it. Okay. Again, making sure everything's nice and pretty. Getting ready for that centerpiece. And grab that piece of Deco mesh. That is a gorgeous, gorgeous color. This would be great for 50th wedding anniversary, New Year's Eve wreath, graduation wreath, wedding design. Trying to think. Obviously Christmas with all that gold. Even the Easter wreath would be drop dead gorgeous. Tucking that back to the inside. Going to tuck this back under. Get my piece right before there, so that it's all nice and full. And we've got to squeeze in our right side piece bring these over. And this was one of the few times where all 18 pieces were, you know, perfectly 20 inches. And the last piece, I probably had 25 inches left. So I had quite a bit left on my roll. So that's nice. It's better than coming up short. Okay. Get this all nice and fluffed. Going above and below this pipe cleaner on the outside, just like that. I think we have, after this, 3 more pieces. So this one's going to go right inside. And you don't have to do this one. You can do all 6 on the inside first. It's entirely up to you. I like to just do a couple different methods so that whatever method is most comfortable for you, it should work to your advantage. And we've got our center. Veronica says, wow, looks full. What size? So this is a 10-inch roll of Deco mesh cut to 20 inches. The reason why I cut it 20 is A, you will perfectly use 1 roll of Deco mesh. It will be extraordinarily full, which means when I'm putting each of these pieces in, by the time I let go, it is really filling this space. And anytime that you want to calculate about how full your wreath will be, you take the size of your Deco, not your Deco mesh, take the size of your Deco mesh, that's 1, and take the size of your frame and add those together. So if I have a 14-inch wire wreath frame and I'm using a 10-inch Deco mesh on it, it should yield approximately 24, 25 inches. So that helps really easily when you might have a client who says, hey, I want a wreath that's 36 inches in diameter, and you have a couple of options. You can use 10-inch Deco mesh. If you do that, you're going to want to make sure, however, you use approximately, what am I thinking, 26-inch frame. That'll yield a 36-inch wreath. You might have to use a little bit more Deco mesh depending upon how big your frame is, how wide it is, and where the layout will be for your Deco mesh. But it's a really good, quick and easy way to calculate how big will that wreath base be using a 14-inch frame and 10-inch mesh. Oops. It's clinging onto my bracelet. So let me throw this question at you guys. If I was using a 10-inch frame and I was using 5-inch Deco mesh, what would be my finished Deco mesh wreath base size? 10-inch wire wreath frame, 5-inch Deco mesh pieces. What would my final Deco mesh base be? Using the formula I just gave you. And this is our last piece going in. So this one's always the tricky one, because you got to hold both sides. You got to move the left and the right at the same time to get that piece to go all the way down evenly to the bottom so that we can fan those out. Got to get all the players where they're supposed to be. Actually, this one's supposed to go under this one, right up in here. Hi, Charlotte. Welcome. Nobody has the answer to the question yet. if you're using a 10-inch piece of Deco mesh, or sorry, a 10-inch wire wreath frame and 5-inch pieces or 5-inch Deco mesh rolls, what size wreath base will you have? So this one, Deco mesh end to Deco mesh end is 25 inches. So just what I figured. Okay. We are now going to be putting in our ribbon tails and our half bows to put them around the outside. Perfect, Jen. Yes, 15 inches. You're going to get a 15 to 16 inch wreath base. Thank you so much for that. Absolutely. You add the width of your Deco mesh, not the length of your pieces. If it's a 5-inch roll of Deco mesh, you're going to take that 5-inch plus whatever the size of your wreath frame is, add that together. Like this is 10-inch with a 14-inch frame, 24 to 25 inches. You missed the formula. So that was the formula, Deborah. Whatever size wreath base plus whatever width your Deco mesh is, add those two together and that'll give you an approximate. Because some people might put it right in the center, some might be slightly off a little bit. 24 to 25. These are the ribbon combinations, by the way, for this one. I am using a 2.5-inch Merry Christmas. It's on a white satin with little white polka dots and snowflakes, gold writing, pairing that with an 1.5 inch gold and white striped, but with gold snowflakes and dots, kind of opposite of the bottom. The 1.5 inch cut to 19 inches. The 2.5 inch is cut to 14. That's going to be one pair. And then the other is going to be this. It's kind of a really nice sheer, but it's a thick sheer. It's a solid gold, 14 inches for the 2.5. And then I'm pairing it with this kind of like aqua teal color, gold and white, 1.5 inch at 19 inches. So where did it all come from? So this is from Craft Outlet. This is from Costco. The Merry Christmas ribbon and the snowflake ribbon are both from Joann's, which is now no longer. So let me show you what we're going to be doing. Because we have a horizontal Merry Christmas, we're going to be folding this in half, just so that we know right where the middle of our ribbon is. That's where we're going to gather. We're going to place that right on the inside. You're going to give it one complete twist, and then you're going to fan that out. We want to make sure the Merry Christmas is readable. We don't want it upside down. And then to make the half bow, you take your 19-inch piece, you bring your dovetailed edges together. You're going to go up about 2 inches from the end. You're going to gather in so that that is 2 inches from here to here. We're going to take that, we're going to place that right inside the waiting arms of our pipe cleaner. Give it a couple twists. I'm going to tuck this piece of Deco mesh that just keeps getting in the way. The edge is like in my design. I will always have to right side for me, based on the way I'm putting in, it's always the left side. So I've got to get that wrong side to the right side. And then I like to make it to where you can see both. So open my loop, stretch out my tails, and then make sure you can see both through the design. Now on these pipe cleaner ends, I'm going to cut these down to about 1.5 inches. Where you're going to come in and we're going to add in a gold and a white. Let's see, I'm looking for gold. Those are pretty. Sometimes I like, ooh, these ones are better. Sometimes, like you can see, you can get a couple different colors of gold. My whole goal is to match my Deco mesh as close as possible, so it's kind of this one. You will take your hot glue gun, put a dot of glue on it. You will take one of your pipe cleaner ends and push that right through that styrofoam ball. And then we're going to do the same on the other side for the white. Dot of glue and push your little balls on the end. That way it just kind of finishes the look a little bit instead of leaving it like kind of unfinished or just cutting your pipe cleaners all the way off to the bottom. It kind of gives them a reason for being there. And then we're going to come over to this side. This is where I'm saying sometimes your Deco mesh gets in the way. Just help them realign themselves to where they need to be. We are going to, again, fold this in half so we can find the true center. Straight up the center. Place that right inside. One solid twist. Okay, there is the gold. And then again, half bows with the teal, gold, and cream. We're going to bring that up, pinch it in, place that right in here, and twist, twist, twist. Cut down the arms of your pipe cleaner to about 1.5 inches. Open your loop, right side the wrong portion of your ribbon tail, and then get those to kind of pop up in between, just like that. And I'm going to take this and twist that one in. Sometimes it's nice just to play with the pieces of Deco mesh and kind of see where they need to kind of fall. I'm making sure that I match up my little glitter balls, and you can get those at Hobby Lobby in their seasonal section. Dollar Tree also has some. I think they make theirs in silver and gold. So just something fun to do to make the ends of your embellishments just as pretty. It's like a low-cost option for finishing out your pipe cleaners. You could do that even if you were doing it with a work frame wreath and you have your tinsel ends and you kind of feel like those are a little bit unfinished. Consider adding a little glitter ball to the end. Kind of helps give it a more finished look. Again, half bows, 2 inches from the top. I like to position my ribbon so it's like little waiting arms. We're going to open that. I'm going to trim down my tails, my little ribbon pipe cleaner pieces. Take that little fluff off. And then again, I'm going to just make sure that that blue really stands out. Back to our gold. Just because I keep double checking because I have 3 different color golds. So I want to make sure that I am pulling the right one out. And I'm going with the larger styrofoam balls. Sometimes you can get them at Hobby Lobby. They have like 3 different sizes, like a small, medium, and a large. Thanks, Elizabeth. I love the Costco ribbon, especially the Costco ribbon from about 3 or 4 years ago. They had really good quality ribbon. And now, just like everything else, quality has kind of gone downhill. It's a little thinner. So I'm going to make sure. Let's see. Do you want to go the other way? Sometimes it wants to just go. Let's pull that out. I didn't like the way that was laying in there. Okay, there we go. And back. This is all new ribbon too this year. This is from Craft Outlet. So I'm always looking for, you know, the blue, the cream, the gold, because I do a lot of designs around those colors for Christmas and winter. Okay, there's that. I'm gonna flip this over. So this is really the only embellishment that this design that I have factored in for this design to have. Is just the little ends, because again, focal point is the sign. I don't want to draw the eyes anywhere else except mainly on the sign. Then it can go to the ribbon, you know, and it could go to the bow after that. So I always like to take my pipe cleaners and position them straight up and straight down. It's the easiest way to put your tails in, so that these go in right in here. Fan that out. Take our half bows, place those right inside. Position that up and then back out. And like I said, I'm focusing the blue to the outside on this particular design, so that's really where the prominent color is going to be, because everything else is like cream and gold. It's pretty much throughout the whole design, because sometimes gold is a hard color to match. Sometimes it could be too brown, and sometimes it could be too yellow. It's hard to find a true gold. Okay. Again, folding over, bringing this back. Sometimes it just yields, like it will fold one way or the other. So I try to just go with, if it wants to have a natural curve that way, let's work with that curve. Plop that right in the center. Go ahead and remove the arms. And putting the dot and then pushing it through is just a time saver. Before, I used to go all the way around, and I used to put all my, you know, just push all the balls on the end of the pipe cleaners, because they go in super easy. Because of the thickness of the pipe cleaner, it just pushes right on. But I would do that, you know, while I was doing the live. I just really quick go through, put all those on, and then at the end, I'd have to remember, go back in and put those, you know, make sure you glue your pipe cleaner balls on. Otherwise, you know, they could come off. Someone can grab a hold of those, give them a nice good yank, and off they come. So now I'm like, I just need to finish as I'm designing. Okay, there's that. And even if you want, you don't have to fluff your ribbon yet. You could wait until you get everything in and then fluff everything all together. And we will open the loop, get my pipe cleaners ready, reposition my loop, make sure we get the blue on top, and make sure we get that nice Merry Christmas happening. Just make sure the end of your pipe cleaner where you cut it off is straight, that it doesn't get like bent, because then that can be a real pain trying to push it on and you don't have like the straight end. You just have the little curled end and it won't go through your little glitter ball piece. Aw, thanks, Charlotte. She says, I love the ribbons and how you're putting them in. This is just like one of the combinations that I do for some of my designs. This is a combination of tails and half bows. If you guys come back Thursday, we're doing a totally different design. So I'm like, we're not making a wreath, but we are making a door decor. So I will show you another way that you could do your outside edges. If you didn't do half bows and tails, there's some people who do like a 1/2 inch tail with a 2.5 inch tail, and they do a little X. I'm always like, what goes in the center? It always to me feels a little undone, which is why I came up with putting the little glitter balls in there. So that it's that, you know, where's your eye being drawn? If it's looking at that because it's odd, let's give them something to look at, which is our little glitter balls. So I'm just alternating those in blue and gold all the way around the outside. Then we'll make our bow and add our sign. See how that goes. Hey, you. I thought you'd be playing your game. Taking a break? You need to take a break. My husband's working so hard trying to get our property ready before the rains come. Because once the rains come, yeah, doing outdoor chores are pretty much a thing of the past. Everything gets wet, cold, soggy. You didn't take your meds this morning? That could be the reason why it hurts. Okay. We got a couple more. I think we have three more to do. 3 more sets. Charlotte, I don't have the iNotify, but if you want to make sure your notifications are turned on if you're on Facebook, just make sure that you've liked the page and that you're also following the page. And then whenever I go live automatically, it should notify you as long as you have your phone handy. So here goes this one. And our gold and blue. And give it a couple twists. One more. And sometimes when I'm putting my pipe cleaners in, they're not exactly perfect. So a lot of times, I have one shorter pipe cleaner, which is why sometimes you only see me cut one. It's because the other one's already short enough. Okay. There we go. Right over the top. I love this, the blue with the gold and white. It is a really great quality ribbon, and for the price point, it's really good. So here's the last one of our Merry Christmas. Go straight up the center. How is Steve doing? That's what they asked. How are you doing, Steve?
I'm alive.
He's alive. Would you say that you can't even tell? He thinks that the procedure that they did on his knees, putting the gel injection, may have worked, but because he's been using his knee a lot more, he's not really seeing the benefits. So, like I said, hopefully after today, he can get some rest so that he can make the determination if that procedure really worked or not. Would you do it again? The procedure?
I think if I wasn't working around the house so much, I was able to just kind of
take it easy. But
I
then,
would say yes, but I think I just demolished basically everything that they were doing because I was on my knees so much and doing so many projects.
well, let's see what the next couple weeks show.
Yeah.
And then we can make a determination. And then you can give everyone your solid feedback and say yes or no.
I also don't know, because I'm on the anti-inflammatories, how bad it would be.
So he is taking anti-inflammatories, which he says really helps him out a lot. But he cannot take those long term. It is just meant to be a short-term fix. So 2 weeks of just kind of taking it easy, and then I think we can kind of looking to see which way these ones want to bend. I think they're going in. And then we can give you a good solid assessment. So here's the last one. And I know that this looks weird. It's like just a touch of this blue, considering that our sign is all blue. I am downplaying the blue in the wreath design because I want the sign to stand out. So, and then as you're going around your design, just kind of manipulate your bows and your tails so that whatever is pleasing to you, whatever you want to see on the outside, make sure that you put those where you want to see them. See, that one's a little off. I don't know why. They're all the same. Maybe one just has a touch more glitter. I don't know. That one's an iridescent one. Looking, let's see it. I have white balls that are more iridescent, so they kind of have a little pink tint to them. And then I have ones that are just white with little sparkles. So there is base method complete, just like that. So again, this is what our sign looks like. Let me get rid of that light. Now you're picking up the overhead light, but just like that is going to be our design. And this just says, he will bring us goodness and light. Again, the sign is from Lindy's Sign Designs on Etsy. So we're going to do a bow. Our bow is going to sit right over here. And we can go ahead, I can add the sign. Let's go add the sign right now. We are going to flip this over. We are going to add a business card to the back. I think I laid it flat. Yes, I did. just like that. Take that little bit of glue, pull that off, and then we are going to, I'm going to put my anchor points here and here. So using a 1.5 millimeter metal hole punch, I'm just going to punch a hole there, and then one down in here, and I'm going to use floral wire to anchor my sign to the wreath. Put those in. I'm using 22 gauge floral wire, about a 14-inch piece. That gives me enough to get it all the way down to my frame. Basically, if you think about it, 7 inches and 7 inches folded in half is what you have to work with. Okay. Whoop. So I'm going to go through the hole. I want to even these up. And we're going to build that right over the hole. I like to twist it about 5 times because it gives it about a 1/4 inch base, which keeps the wire to the back. And then we're going to go to the other side. Again, making sure build right over the hole. Okay, let's go ahead and anchor that in to the wreath design. I'm going to look right here is one of my white pipe cleaners. So I'm going to position this right over the top of that design. Take that down to the bottom. Same on the other side. My whole goal is to make sure that I have my sign anchored through my frame so that I've got a wire from my frame on each side, and I'm going to push this down to the level I need it to stop at, not to the level that I can pull my sign all the way to the frame. Otherwise you get sunken sign. And then we should have the other one is right here. I'm just double checking, making sure I've got, feels like it needs to go here. Nope, down here. It's weird. Feels like I want to go higher up. I just need to trust the process. Make sure we get this to go through our Deco mesh. There's a little bit of a fray right there. I'm going to pull that out. Go ahead and pull this down. Right there is about the depth I want it to go. Give it a couple twists. And then around the outside, I'm going to kind of pull back some of my Deco mesh pieces. Trying to find them. They like to hide right there. And then this is going to be our home for our bow. So I'm going to take my Deco mesh ends here. I'm going to separate those two. There's 2 right here. So I'm going to take this one, lay it right underneath my sign. Same thing for this piece. That way I have a clear space to place my bow here. And then I don't have to worry about my Deco mesh floating way above it. So let's make the bow and then we'll be finished. So we're going to use the bow dabra. These are the ribbons we're using. We're going to start with our gold and then the Merry Christmas. We have our featured ones, which are the snowflake and the blue and gold. We're also going to separate them with a white Swiss dot and then a gold filigree on a cream. So this is from Craft Outlet, the gold filigree, and then the Swiss dot you can also find on Craft Outlet, but I purchased this one from Fifth Street Studios a while ago. So we're going to do my standard bow, which means start with a dovetailed end, which is bring your wired edges together. You're going to cut from the fold to the wired point. Just nice, just like that. This has a very thin tensile strength, which means, as you can see, the tips want to fold in. That's okay. We're going to measure this off 10 inches. We're going to gather in. We're going to twist. And then I'll place that right inside my Bodabra. I'm going to take this up and around, twist, place it right on the inside, and then I'm going to take this crack that I can see at the top. I'm going to line this up right over my 10-inch line so that when I stretch this out, it should end at 5.5, which it does. We'll do the same on the other side. Just a guesstimate. Line it up on your 10. Stretch it out. If you're at 5.5, you're good to go. And then go ahead and remember we need a 10-inch tail. And we'll dovetail that end as well. There's that one. Okay, there's that. And then now we're going to take the Merry Christmas ribbon. So this is a horizontal pattern. So we can keep the Merry Christmas going and don't confuse the fact that it's upside down right now. That's just how it went on the roll. We're going to dovetail the end. Same thing, fold to the wired point. Our whole goal is to keep it the same orientation all the way through. So we're going to go 9.5 inches. We're going to twist and place that right inside. And you'll notice that right when I come to bring this up and around and do my twist and down, I am no longer the right orientation, right? It went up, it changed. So super simple. Just twist your loop around. Okay. Then line it back up on your 10-inch. Make sure this ends at 5 inches. Bring it in. And then the same on the other side. And you'll see that it goes back to the same. They're both the same. Verify the lengths. I'm going to bring that one back a bit. Right there. And then back out to 9.5. Go ahead and do your dovetail end on that. And that one is all set and ready to go. So now all the writing goes the same way. You can't do that when you have a vertical print. You would have to cut your ribbon and put both pieces in separately, both loops and tails. So here we are doing, this is actually kind of nice because for once they didn't ruin the end by creasing it. It's just a light fold. So dovetail in. This one's going to be 9 inches. Gathered. Up and over. And this will be 4.5 inches. Right there. same on the other side. Okay. And then back out to 9. And nice dovetail end. This is a really good quality ribbon too. It's really thick. I love it when you can get a really good quality ribbon that is nice and thick. I don't make thick ribbons anymore. I don't worry about the way, you know, well, the Merry Christmas one, the tails are up in the air. We'll fix them all when they're at the end. Okay. And now we will do our blue. This one will be 8.5 inches for the tail. Thanks for joining, Deborah. She says, it's beautiful, Kat. Have a blessed rest of your night. Pray for a speedy recovery for Steve. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Okay. Up and over. We're going to make sure these ones are both the same size. So because we've measured the bottom, put your fingers in both and give a pull on the top. And then it's just a little time saver. Unless you want to just measure them both. That's totally fine. And this one is at 8.5, right? Yes. I'm like, it's 8.5, 8, and then 7.5. Sugar Pepper Designs. I've bought in quite a few of your signs. You have some gorgeous signs. Thanks for joining. Hi, Carol. Great men come and great men go. Jesus Christ of Nazareth was the greatest man that ever walked the face of the earth. Wow, thank you for those stars, Deborah.
Yes, he was.
That is awesome. Thank you so much for that.
I was going to say, yes, he is. Because he is alive.
Yes, he is. Well, walked. Will walk again. Yeah, I've been leaning into a lot more of my religious designs, especially for Christmas. So this one's going to be 8 inches long for our tail length, and we're going 4 inches for our loop length. So I'm going to bring that in, just verify my length. Bring this up and over. And same thing. 4 inches. Back out to 8. Dovetail the end. And then there's that. And look. That's all I have of that. I have another roll, so I try to save it if it's long enough that I might be able to get a tail out of it. And then here's our last one going in. This is that snowflake ribbon. This one's going to be 7.5 inches. You having fun rolling that up?
What are you doing with it?
Hanging on to it. It makes for a good garland if I ever want to add a pick to it. We throw nothing away. I don't throw anything away. Very little. That's what I said, very little. And then 3.5 for this one. There's that. Take this back out. 7.5. Wherever you would like to put it. I will probably forget that it's there because I didn't physically put it there. And I'll probably give you a call. Hey, when you were wrapping up that garland rope, what'd you do with it? Okay. So let's go ahead and grab a pipe cleaner. I'm going to use white. because the gold I have is a yellow gold and it doesn't look very pretty at all. We're going to pick these up and we're going to drop them down over the top. I'm going to hold my pipe cleaner at the bottom and then twist my ribbon stack in the opposite direction. And I need my board since you're using it for a desk. I just need to borrow it. Now you can have it. I'm going to go ahead and put my C-hook back in the center. This is a 24 by 24 by 1 inch thick piece of lumber, and I'm just adding a C-hook to the center. And we're going to go ahead and hook this around that pipe cleaner. Oop, completely missed it. And now we're ready to fluff. So, from the bottom, this is top stack, bottom stack. Top stack, you're going to start at the bottom. You're going to take your tail to the left or right, whichever way. And then you're going to move the loop in the opposite direction. Okay? And then find the same ribbon at the bottom of your other stack and make those go opposite. So my tail will go to the right, my loop goes to the left. This way they're directly opposite of each other. Then you're going to grab the next set of ribbon. And I'm going to make this one go to the left. And my tail's going to go to the right. Find it on the opposite side. And do the exact same thing. So this way, it's separating your tails from your loops, staggering your pattern all the way through. Okay. From here, I'm going to take the gold and I'm going to lay like, here's the loop, here's the tail. Okay, go find it, do opposite. So loop is left, tail is right. Now from here, I'm going to take and follow the Merry Christmas print, just like that, on the opposite side. Super easy once you get the hang of it. You just move them in direct opposite directions. That's the way it should look. And then our Swiss dot is going to follow here. So we're going gold, gold, taking the loop, and then move the tail. And then our last ribbon is going to go on top of that stripe. Stripe here. So here's all the tails. Here's all my loops. It makes it really easy to position that on your wreath. And we're going to start fluffing by lifting the top two opposite directions. And I always do them opposite because it creates a visual interest. People will have a tendency of looking at it, trying to figure out what's off. It's because they're opposites. And then here I want the blue in the center. So I'm going to put the blue in between. And I'm going to move the filigree to the out. Just like that. So filigree back in the center. Or striped back in the center, filigree out to the side. And then lastly, we're going to lift our Merry Christmas and the gold. And so these are going to line up over here. These are going to line up directly over. So same thing. When you're working with your 2.5 inch ribbon, it's easy if you just take, all 4 of your fingers and kind of slide those into the loop openings. This way you can move them and fluff them into place. And then we are going to add the curve back, like right now they're just flat. So just running them through your fingers puts those nice little arcs in them. You won't notice it so much at the bottom because we're laying flat on a board. Same thing here. Up, 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 up. It's my favorite part of fluffing the ribbon, is fluffing the tails. Just like that. And then if you're selling your bow, you want to make sure that all of your items can be seen. So make sure you showcase all the pieces, all the colors, all on your bow, just like so. So that is our bow. I'm going to remove this in the opposite direction. You can put the lids on those if you want. And then if you want to stick them in the back, I already got all the SKUs on them. If you want. That. All done. Okay. Let's put our bow on. So bring this over. Here's our bow home. So this is where knowing where our Merry Christmas is. So I like the Merry Christmas to be out here and out here. So I'm going to make sure that my ribbon tails go across, but my loops come right down on top. And our goal when you're attaching your ribbon, same thing like you're attaching your sun, you want to make sure you get those on both sides. And I'm just going to push that down so that I get it seated right where I want. And then now we're going to fluff everything one final time. Okay. We're going to pull. Okay. Just like so. So you're going to fluff to your desired fluffiness. I've got a fray right there, which is driving me crazy. So there is that, and I know it looks funky because I got that light in the way. I do want to add some things because I sometimes look at designs like this and think, it's got an awful lot going on. Like, I don't like how this mesh right here is pushing my lighter ribbon tail way up in the air. So I'm going to kind of tuck that, bring my ribbons over where I want them to, line up. And we don't want to be too busy because remember, our sign is our focus. So I want to make sure I bring these in. You know what? Can I have the gold balls back? I was like, I should have just left them. I'm going to add a couple gold balls around the outside just to break up some of this. Okay. Try to get these up. Thank you. And if you want your ribbon off to the side, just move it in wherever location you want. Definitely feel like I want to see the star. Just like that. And I want to keep some of my curls away. Okay. Just like that. Looking for the right colored glitter balls. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I know we want one right in the center. And then I'm thinking like right here. Right here. Right here. And right here. Let's see. Can I get them? I want like it might just go with a 4. Because I like the spacing placement of that. With the bow being 5. So, what I like to do is, because these go along the edge of the sign, I like to take my scissors and I like to put a little groove in them so that when I glue them, they actually glue to the side of the sign. So that's kind of like an anchor point for them. So I'm going to go ahead and add my glue. And I want to bring this one. Oops. There we go. Trying to get this little glue thread right here. There we go. One there. And the rest of these rolled around. So right along the edge. I have to be careful because these scissors I have are razor sharp. Okay. So they're tucking in. Right in here. Always a glue thread. We're going to take another one and put it up here. Just so there's a groove in there, and that's where our sign's going to slide right on. This one's going to go right here. Just like that. And that's also going to go up at the top. Don't have to use a ton of glue, just enough so it slides right on our design, just like that. So we kind of give it a nice little decorative edge so it doesn't feel so disconnected. Again, making sure everything lines up where I want it to go. You guys ready to see this on the door? Let me fluff up all my bows since it's easier to do here. So always make sure all your ribbon tails are right where you want them to be for your photos. Don't have little ends bent. Make sure your ribbon's all fluffed. Make sure your loops are all open. I got a couple up here. Just open them. So much easier to do it here. So that when I put it on the door, it's like, there we go, on the door. No need to fluff, hopefully. Okay. There we go. All right, I'm going to pivot you up. I will move the one that's on the door. Oop. There we go. I want it a little bit higher. Gotta get this mount tightened. So I'm going to move this. That'll go there. Sorry you don't have a desk anymore. And here is this design. So I gotta get it centered on my hook. Okay. It's like, that could be the disadvantage sometimes of having your screw on your prop door, is that it has a tendency of wanting to move. But there is that design with just enough blue to tie the design in, focal point directly onto the sign. There is your final look. Oh, thanks, Char. She said, I love it. Della said, so pretty. Thank you, Pam. She said, this is gorgeous. Linda, I don't have the I notify, so just make sure that you have that you've liked and followed the page. Oh, thank you, babe. Thank you for all the well wishes and prayers. Please continue to share and spread Kat's public videos so she gets more exposure. Yes, that's what I was saying. The best way you guys can help me, share, like, comment, emojis, all of the things. That is our final design. That will be up for sale in my website today. It'll be available in the Etsy shop tomorrow. And I will talk to you guys all soon. Thanks for joining me. Talk to you soon. Bye for now.